What's up, sports bettors? Let's bet on some sports, let's drink, let's call it a day. So, what we're going to be going through is just some bets for we're going to hit some bets on Prize Picks. We got Underdog Fantasy, we got DraftKings, we got Caesars, we got WinBet. We got a whole lot of sports books available to us. Nothing better than sports betting. So, we're going to give out some picks. We're going to track our profit and loss. So yesterday on the live stream, we went a solid 0-2 for negative $662. Not live profit at 15.4K. Yesterday, live stream profit 662. So feel free to, comment any questions. And what we're going to do is just place some bets. So what you should definitely do, first of all, if you have DraftKings available, if not, you can sign up below. But what they have is this promo. You get a touchdown, or if your team is up by a touchdown, literally 7 points, you automatically win your money line bet, which definitely you should be doing. And you should bet on the underdog. The Dolphins go up by 7, you cash. What are the Dolphins, like plus 170 or something like this? So you automatically are going to cash. If Tua can just take them up one touchdown off the get-go. Well, plus 155, I guess they're offered right now. So definitely bet that. Lines are moving against the Dolphins, a little surprising. But what we can do is we can kind of look at this game, see if we can find any player props. We have a few bets open for this game. Dolphins plus 2.5. We hit Dolphins over 23.5 team total. So a few bets open. Hopefully we can find some value some places. We got Tua to score a touchdown plus 850. That doesn't seem like horrible value here on FanDuel. What else is out there? On Betfred, Mike Thomas plus 1,400 to score a touchdown. So what we can actually do is just go ahead and open up some exchanges. So I'm not sure if this is going to send. But anyways, let's go ahead. Let's go through it. So what you can do, and this is a pretty cool strategy, is what I like to do is kind of like pull up this anytime touchdown score. And then you can go over to the exchanges. So this is like a peer-to-peer betting site. And you can see kind of where their lines are for first touchdown scores and stuff like that. So you can see right here, Mike Thomas, the market's really wide, stuff like that. But sometimes you can find some good opportunities. Like, is Tua any good at plus 850 to score a touchdown? What we can do is we can just like take a look, and I actually don't even see Tua listed under the anytime TD scores here. But if you're looking for some value on a first TD play, that doesn't seem horrible. Joe Burrow plus 550, meh. Plus 240 here, we can take a look. So that looks horrible, right? This means somebody is willing to give you him at plus 260. So people are betting on Mostert plus 260 on the exchanges, so we don't want to bet that. So long story short, just trying to like kind of use data to find the anytime TD score bets that we want to go with. Jamar Chase plus 100. Do we like that? What you can do is just kind of like take a look. Jamar Chase plus 100 doesn't seem that good considering someone's willing to let you bet it plus 102 on the exchanges. So having trouble connecting. What we can do is we can just go through some positive EV bets. We can see if there's any bets on Prize Picks. You can feel free to comment what sports books you prefer for the bets to be on, and we can just look for bets on those sports books. I'm currently in New York, so I'm going to be using FanDuel, Caesars, DraftKings, and WinBet. So 3 different sports books. FanDuel has a really cool promo. $5 risk-free same-game parlay. You place a bet, 3 legs in the same-game parlay. Your odds just need to be plus 400 or above. If you lose, you get your money back in free bets. So it's a really profitable promo. And Odds Jam, has tools to kind of like whenever you get a free bet, to convert your free bet into cash. It's called a free bet converter. And what this tool will show you is just like, if you wanted to convert your free bet directly into cash without any risk, what would you do? So we can go through that. But what I typically like to do with my free bets is just look for, value bets, right? Look for bets that have an edge, and then you can parlay them together. You can do all sorts of stuff. Bengals team total over 26.5. That seems kind of decent. But let's just see what's out there. We have the Rams team total over 20.5. So what we can do with our free bet, as an example, the most profitable strategy in the long run is going to be just like, well, I'm on the wrong tab, is just really placing these positive EV parlays with your free bets, right? Your bets have value, so just create a positive EV parlay. So this is the Marlins game. So this is literally what I do with all my free bets, and it's fun. And then you just go to innings, and typically I just try to get the odds on my free bet above like plus 600 or something like this. And, you can just look for plays. The Browns are awful. What we can do is we can just filter by win bet, and we can see, what kind of picks we want to go with for our free bet. So we have the Rams, we have this Nerfy, and then what we can go with, you can see there's a bunch of bets on win bet. You got the Packers under 24.5. It's like, okay, fading Aaron Rodgers. Do we like doing that? I guess we do. And now we have 3 picks, plus 620 here. It's like, sure, that's fine. And we can place our little free bet. Well, it looks like it logged me out, so let me log back in quickly. I watched the MLB prop video. Those props had pretty high width. What range width do you go by? So I'd say for underdog fantasy, it's a little different because, I forget exactly what we bet, but you have 3 picks, right? So even if the market width's a bit higher and you're less confident in the bet, I think the EV percentages were pretty high. I forget exactly what we have for today. Yesterday, we gave out this pick on the live stream. This did not win, but it got close. This Urena pick was incredible, the over 3, but that lost. But yeah, we gave out some picks today, and Mixon, essentially, like, if you have 4 bets or you need 3 bets that are positive EV in your underdog entry, I don't exactly understand the question, but I watched the MLB props video. Those props had pretty high width. What range of width do you go by? I guess it really depends. Like, I don't have a specific threshold. It depends on, the percent profit margin. It also depends on, how clear is the line discrepancy. Like here for this yes run first inning in the Marlins Brewers game, it's like this bet looks incredible to Pinnacle, to Caesars. It's kind of in the middle, right? Plus 130, minus 160. So I try to look at the entire sports betting market when I'm trying to decide if I really like a bet or not. And sometimes it's less clear than other times. So like here, this is definitely a bet we'd want to play, right? Here, so it all kind of depends, long story short, in my opinion, about what market width you should go with. Like here, it's like, this plays minus 122. What's the market width here? It's like, okay, there's 34 cents, but every single sports book is kind of synchronized that the odds should be at least minus 147 to minus 160. So what you can do is just open up this little no vig odds calculator. And what I like to do is just you can throw every single sports book into the no vig odds calculator. So here it's the true price to bet online is minus 127. We're getting minus 122. Seems great. On WinBet, it's minus 160 plus 115, minus 132. So this bet looks even better to their market. So long story short, you can go through every single sports book and it's I have pretty high confidence that this minus 122 is a line discrepancy in a bet we should be on. And I'm pretty sure I already have that bet. Yeah, I do. So we already have this played. Did we already lose a bet today? So we did. So underdog fantasy can be a tilting platform, betting at plus 1900 odds all the time. but it's a fun platform and it's an interesting platform, just like Prize Picks. Like, it's very interesting because I'm, as a sports bettor, like, you're not used to these platforms that don't have odds. They don't let you play on straight bets. It's just 2 bets and you're always getting the exact same payout. Do you have defense tackle props on FanDuel or are the other books mentioned? We can take a look. So for any market you want to look at on OddsJam, you can browse odds, completely, you can see tackles. So yeah, there's tackles. I don't think many sports books offer these props. I mean, DraftKings, I don't know. So if you're feeling degenerate or, there are always some promos on these sports books, so many promos, you can go with it. Always watch your stuff. Pretty awesome. Sucks underdog fantasy. Only lets you bet on over or unders. Yeah, I'm not sure about Colorado. I mean, I don't have a specific rule. I don't know whoever set a rule. Maybe some people have rules. Maybe Matt's given a rule. I don't have a specific rule on a bet needs to be X% profit margin to bet it. There are a lot of considerations, I think, in any bet, you ever want to place, whether it's a future, like futures, there is no market with. It's a future, right? It's a market where there's not an opposite side to the market. Like if we look at NBA futures or NFL futures, like every rule has an exception and there's good guidelines in general. You want to focus on lower vague markets or markets that are more active. But like if we look at this Super Bowl winner, it's like there's no market with, right? It's like you can bet on the Bills at plus 500 and deem that's a good bet, or you can skip it. But obviously it's like lower width in these markets is better. Higher EV percentage is better. Recommended filters is better. Like there's always things that make bets, like if you're stereotyping a bet, better, but not every bet is, good. So if you're looking for a play on Prize Picks, this looks pretty good in a 4-pick power play, something like this. And we can see what else is out there in terms of props. So like this bet, for example, it's like this is probably a bet we'd want to skip just because the market, there's such big disagreement. So we have less confidence, I would say, even though the market width is low, like there's just less confidence that this minus 125 is a play we'd want to be on. Because like Bet Online has this minus 175, Pinnacle minus 127. So the sharper bookmakers, they're not in agreement. Then you have DraftKings and FanDuel at like minus 140. It's a little unclear what's going on here. So maybe this is a play we want to skip for now, right? Whereas a play like this, maybe also this would be an example of maybe a play we want to skip. It's like the market's kind of, not in agreement. Some sportsbooks have the Nerfy favored. Some sportsbooks have the Yes Run first inning favored, Pinnacle and FanDuel. It's a little less clear, right? The whole point of sports betting, what makes it so interesting is, you have certain bookmakers that are very sharp, very efficient markets. They take a lot of volume. And you can look at the entire market side by side and be like, oh, this bet's clearly good or this bet, like, we want to skip over. So what we can do is refresh. How many legs? Usually, I recommend you always want to be playing 3-leg or 5-leg on underdog. And that's because the prices are better, right? If you're playing a 2-pick on underdog, that's the worst. You always want to look for 3 picks on underdog. And, 3 picks and 5 picks are best, most advantageous, right? And we've definitely lost a fair amount, but you don't have to win that often. Like when you're betting at, here was one we won. So when you're betting at, 5-pick entries are plus 1,900 odds, you only need to win 5% of the time to break even, right? You're betting 100. You're betting 100 to win 1,900. Like that, this is a 5-pick entry. So if this is your stake and you're staking $100, you're staking $100 to win 1,900. So you could lose 19 times and you'd be down $1,900. And then if you win once, you're up $1,900. So you'd break even. So you only need to win 1 out of 20 times in a 5-pick entry. Obviously, we're going to win more than 1 out of 19 times. You want to win as much as possible, but like you can definitely be profitable betting on, parlays for that reason. It's just most people, it takes a lot of samples. Like it takes a lot of 5-pick entries to determine if you actually have an edge because, you're only winning 1 out of 20 times. That would make you a break-even underdog fantasy player if you're playing 5-pick entries, which makes it a little more complicated to figure out if you're winning or losing in the long run. Good info. Yeah, I'd say definitely it's like tighter markets is always better. Here we have one. This play I keep taking. The market keeps freaking loving it. Fading Lamar Jackson. And I mean, you can tell like his under 1.5 passing touchdowns is pretty ridiculous value. But I mean, I don't know. So in a 3-pick entry, a 5-pick, this would be great. So we can go through and we can hit out some 3 picks, some 5 picks. Why not? And we can dabble. And I also like to use this middle betting tool. You can feel free to ask questions, but I think it's pretty interesting. It's just like here we have one like, this is an example of one that's pretty interesting to me. Like Jerick McKinnon, right? We have him over 11.5 receiving yards here, right? So then you have all the sports books are setting him at a receiving yards line of 15.5. So let's go here and we can like look up his stats. Not that I look at, not that it's that relevant, but like this is an example of a play that I would say is pretty interesting because this may be super profitable, right? Like Caesars has the over 15.5 at minus 139. We're getting roughly 4 yards. So it's like, is that worth dabbling in 4 yards lower? Because it's clearly a pricing discrepancy, but is it worth dabbling in is a bit more complicated. So the middle betting tool is a little more finger to the wind in terms of trying to figure out if a bet is good. But what we can do is we can hit out Lamar. I guess I'm fading Lamar. This bet has not cashed for me so far this season, but I mean, got to trust the math. We're getting minus 122 implied odds on Underdog Fantasy. PointsBet has this minus 170. That's an arbitrage bet, right? Not technically because you can't actually place straight bets. Then we're going to go with this Urias guy again to get a hit. And then we can kind of like, Urias. Okay. So then we have pick number 2. And then what do we like next? Shea Langeliers under half of a hit. Not bad. So we can go with him. Or depending on how bullish you're feeling, you could, go with you could look at this Jerick McKinnon prop. It's just a little less clear, right? Like, is 4 yards here a big deal? Is that 1 reception, half a reception? Like, how do you think about pricing? Because clearly he doesn't get the ball that often, or he doesn't catch passes that often. His receiving yards line is quite low. So it's just like, how big of a deal is 11.5 to 15.5? And does that mean 122 is good? I don't know. A little less clear. So he has 2 receptions. Whoa. I hate when they start playing sound. They have to stop doing this. So he has 2 receptions for 4 yards, 3 receptions for 9 yards. Yeah, touchdown against the Chargers. It's like, maybe we dabble in it. So maybe we go back here and we say, okay, screw you, Shea Langeliers. And then we take Urias over. And then we want Lamar under. And then we want, so these were the 3 picks we had. And then we want McKinnon. Oh, McKinnon over. On underdog, it's just we're trying to tease out, do we think every bet is good, right? And there are some that are a lot more obvious than other bets. Like, definitely, this looks incredible. Lamar Jackson, under 1.5 passing TDs at minus 122. Like, this one, literally every sports book is pricing this minus 160 to minus 170. We're getting minus 122. This is definitely a play we want to be in, just rational sports betting. If you love Lamar this weekend, whatever, you can skip over it. I'll take advantage of it. Don't feel compelled. Joe Mixon tonight, under 3.5 receptions. What are people's thoughts on this one? I don't know. So, just kind of pretty fascinating. Joe Mixon, we already have action on. Ryan Feltner, under 4.5. I mean, this looks quite good. So we can hit it. So this is a dart. 250 to win 5K. Need to win 1 out of 20 times to break even. Under, over, under, over, under. Let's hit it. Fun stuff. You've reached the $250 limit on Urias. A-holes. There we go. So then, now we have a 5-pick entry. There we go. So 5 picks to win 3K. And again, it's like this Lamar one's very clearly good. This is lower EV, but hey, it's an arbitrage bet. So, we have more comp. Like, we know by definition when arbitrage exists, there has to be a positive EV bet, right? Whenever you can make risk-free money betting on two sides, like it's a market inefficiency. This play looks incredible. This one a little less clear. McKinnon over 11.5 receiving yards seems pretty good, to 15.5. Considering all the sports books have the over 15.5 juice, that 4 yards, like maybe this should be like, the fair line, let's say here is like minus 105. That would be the true odds with the vig removed kind of for over 15.5. So for over 11.5, maybe it's like minus 140, minus 150. It's just a little less clear. But we know these other 4 picks are absolute slam dunks, like this Lamar Jackson one. So we're going with it. I really like this play, honestly, against the Bill. Well, I don't know. This Lamar one, I've liked it every week, so that's the problem. That 500 max to win 10K. I didn't start playing on underdog until relatively recently. Okay. Love that. Okay. So, and then we just kind of like, I literally just reload. We can see what else is out there. This Lamar one is obviously the best. In kind of a way you can think about it, really Odds Jam is just supposed to be like pretty rational, data-driven, whatever you want to call it. Sports betting is, we have Lamar, Baltimore. I didn't know there were 2 Lamar Jacksons, but the Baltimore Lamar Jackson. And then we have bases. What do we want to go with? We wanted to go with Shea under, Urias over. So what we can do is just go here, and we can go to Shea under, Urias over. So plus 346, right? That's the line. You're betting 500 or 250. What did we put? 500 to win 2, total payout 2230 right here. Whereas we, like when you're able to find value on this pick, we're getting 3K, 2.2K. Like, those are meaningful differences in terms of beating the vig, in terms of getting an edge and winning long term. That's definitely a play we want to be all over. So we're all over it. Refer a friend and get an $1,000 free bet. Okay. So then same game parlays, NFL stepped up. I don't really know what that is. Opt in and get a 33% same game parlay profit boost. I'm not really sure about these. We could back out if we like this, get a 25% boost. I mean, we can go through the math of some of these promos, or we can just see if we like this. So typically for these, they're a little harder to figure out. So what I like to do is just kind of see like where the odds came from. Like here, it's like, I don't know. Most sportsbooks don't offer, is there a offensive score on the first drive? I don't know any sportsbooks that do. So it's kind of like, it's going from minus 175 to plus 100. Do we think that's good enough to bet? I mean, not all these promos are profitable, but this one seemed good enough. So here, I think I already, it's only letting me bet on the Bengals. Okay. So we'll take the Bengals. Hopefully they go up by a touchdown, and then the Dolphins win because I have them over 23.5 tonight. So hopefully that hits. And we got a lot of college football plays. So we got college football tonight, I guess, too. So let's see if there's some bets on FanDuel, DraftKings. I like those books. Here we have another one that just popped up. If you want to play that. So we hit the max on Urias. So what you can do is just like, dabble a bit more. We can go to Lamar. We can go to Shea. So it looks like this one just moved, right? Or Shea, Langeliers. So it looks like this one moved. So not going to be able to bet this one. But now we have Mark Mathis. If you're new to, essentially we're just looking for value at minus 122. Here, this is like an arbitrage bet or low hold, whatever, with Bet Online. So we know one of these bets has to be profitable. Looks pretty good. And then, so we can go with that. And then we can go back to this middle tool and be like, okay, do we still like this play on? So it looks like the other one moved as well on Jerick McKinnon. So we can go with Feltner again, which I do like. So now we have 3 picks again. Feltner. So I think we've hit the max, so they may give us a little less. And you always want to be playing the 3 picks or the 5 picks on underdog. So a bunch more open that hopefully hit today. And a bunch more fun ones. This is the biggest one we got. 5 picks to win $3,000. I think that's the biggest one. We have a bunch. Should be fun. Okay, let's go back to sports betting. So we'll click this, kind of filter around sports books. Always fun. See what's out there. And any bets we like. So this keeps getting better. This Bubba Thompson bet, now every sports book has this like minus 170 or above for Bubba Thompson to get on base on Prize Picks. So again, Prize Picks, pretty awful payouts. Lines, they charge a lot of vig, a lot of juice. 3-pick power play, you're getting minus 141 implied odds. A lot of juice, that's for sure. Joe Burrow over 1.5 passing TDs, that looks pretty fantastic on PointsBet. DraftKings has that minus 205. Like, sports betting is so crazy. All these bookmakers have different odds. And it's really the reason it's so easy to be, not easy, it takes a lot of time, but like you can definitely be profitable. Is you just can treat every bookmaker, it's like the simplest, most rational path to making money sports betting. It's like treat all the bookmakers as independent. We know certain sports books are sharper, and then just kind of like find value mathematically. Like if you can make risk-free money arbitrage betting, which you can do, then you can definitely make money betting on sports. Bally bet minus 105 on the Giants. That looks pretty great. I haven't signed up for Bally bet. Bubba Thompson to record a hit. This looks great. Not sure why it's not showing up on the EV page. You got over 13.5 for the Bengals first half team total. You could arb that with Bet Online. This game's at 8:15. This game starts in 2 hours. Earn a risk-free profit of whatever you can get down. That's not bad. So it's really just hustling. Sports betting is a hustling game. Who likes this for this weekend? Giants minus 145. It's an arbitrage bet to the Betfair exchange. It looks good to Pinnacle. A lot of bets out there. So just kind of, searching around, seeing what we want to go with. Man, lines continue to go towards the Dolphins. 2 cents in market width on the Betfair exchange. So this is why it's so useful to look at their odds as you get closer to game time. It's like, wow, like they literally have 2 cents in market width. This is in decimal odds, but regardless, like it's a very active market, and you can see money is coming in on the Bengals, right? $6,300 in action is coming in on the Bengals at 1.53. That's in decimal odds, so you can convert it to American odds, but still pretty fascinating stuff. So money's still coming in on the Bengals. And what I want to do is I want to hit this Bubba Watson guy. So it's not this play, this Bubba Watson play is not going to show up on the EV page because there's no sharp sports book that's listing odds. So the EV page just won't show it, but it shows for the player bases. But you can see here, we're using a different form of data presentation or whatever you want to call it, the arbitrage tool, to be like, yeah, Bubba Thompson is definitely a good play at minus one, whatever it is, minus 122. So that's another play that looks really good on underdog that we could go with. Bubba Thompson. And again, it's just like rational sports betting. It's my favorite term, but it really is what makes sports betting so fun and profitable. It's just like there's no other market like it where you have every single bookmaker, trying to set lines independently on their own, whatever, stuff like that. It's just crazy, and it's fun. It makes it fun and very profitable because it's so easy. It's just like you look for, value in the odds, discrepancies. When every sports book is pricing something at minus 208, you can get it minus 122. You're clearly getting value. And whenever arbitrage exists, like by definition, one bet has to be profitable. Hey guys. Got to move faster, Chase. Any advice for Leo Vegas? I don't have Leo Vegas. I don't think this is a U.S. sports book. Hey guys, I'm in a state where I can't line shop. How can you not line shop? You can definitely line shop, right? You can always line shop. It's just you may not have as many sports books available. But like this sports book, we say this all the time in some of the videos, but like some of these sports books, right? Like if we go to the Dolphins game tonight as an example, or just, let's go back to the Dolphins game. Is this sports book, right? The Betfair exchange, it's not in my state. I don't bet on it. I can't bet on it, right? It's not a U.S. bookmaker. Neither are these, but it's just a source of information, right? Every sports book is more data. More data equals better decisions, better betting decisions. Nothing's better than when you're looking at a bet and it looks incredible to every other sportsbook's markets. Even if those sportsbooks aren't in your locations, that doesn't mean they're bad sources of information. This exchange has thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, $375,000, right, in action, right? So like it's very active betting market. So it's a very valuable source of information and where the lines should be set when you're kind of thinking about it as a trader. Dolphins going to win or cover. Yeah, they're on a different YouTube. They put it back up and I locked it in. Okay, so let's reload this. And let's see if we can find anything out there. So we got Bubba Thompson. They just put back up this Lamar prop, which looks great. And again, like you want to look at as much data as possible before you ever place a bet. It's just more informed sports betting, right? I want to know where Pinnacle is, where Bet Online is, where Fox Bet is, where the Betfair exchange is, really where every sports book is. So I can kind of tease out, do I think there's value in this play? Like this McKinnon prop. It's like, I want to know where everybody is. Like, okay, BWin also has it favored. It's like every sports book has Jerick McKinnon over 15.5 receiving yards favored. So that's more data to base this decision on. Do I want to bet on underdog fantasy over 11.5 at minus 122? Because, for a fact, you don't want to take CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 21.5 receiving yards in your underdog entry, because you could go to Caesars and bet it plus 104. Even if you don't have Caesars available to you, this just shows you if this sportsbook isn't available, you're getting ripped off because you're getting minus 122. So what we can do also is do people prefer sports betting or these fantasy companies? Because we can go through some plays. What I like to do as well is, this is a new feature on OddsJam. It's not fully released, I guess, but I'll put it in here. Is what you can do is just kind of use this. What this does is it lets you kind of like compare sportsbooks side by side, which is quite interesting. Rushing yards, passing yards, everything. So you can see like where's the whole market, and you can look for some value and in bets that beat the VIG and have an edge over the sports book, and you're winning long term. And hopefully find some good plays. Lamar Jackson, his rushing yards line, 55.5 on Prize Picks, 57.5 on Underdog. Pretty synchronized across the rest of the market. So you can see here, it's like lots of props out there, and just kind of what's the biggest discrepancy we have. Right now, the best play, if you're looking for a play, looks like it's over 61.5 rushing yards for Josh Jacobs. Every sportsbook has that line set at 67.5. Is it worth pulling the trigger on? Maybe not. But also, here's another one, right? This is rushing yards now. Okay, we have McKinnon is over 12.5 on Underdog. Every sportsbook has his line at 17.5. So what we can do is we can kind of like, that's a pretty big discrepancy. If you think about it, that's like a third of the distributions. It is on the site. You can click the link. You can click the link, Fearless 908. But what we can do is just kind of like, like maybe you like this play, maybe you don't. We have Jerick McKinnon, rushing yards. He had 7 attempts, averaging 3-ish yards a game. Let's say he averages 3-ish yards a game. So like 12.5 to 17.5 is like 1.5 carries. He had 7.44. That seems pretty good, right? Being able to get him over 12.5 rushing yards when all the sports books are setting his line at 17.5. So what you could do is go back here, and it's just kind of, you could play Lamar Jackson. Let's go here and look for some plays. So we have this guy. So we could play this, right? Over. We want McKinnon over. So in the Chiefs game, just trying to use data, tease out where the value is. Underdog Fantasy has the line at 12.5. We're getting 17.5. Massive part of the distribution. So hopefully he doesn't suck. Also, 22, 20, 12. Seems pretty good. Does anyone like McKinnon? Not like? Does anyone have a reason not to bet this? Because I think it looks quite good. But if we go to this game, it's always interesting to kind of look at the data, right? We're looking at the data, and basically, no, rushing yards. Rushing yards is what we wanted. And it's like, it's a pretty big discrepancy. So Caesars has this favored too. Maybe that's a play. we want to include in our entry. Here's another 4-pick difference. What you could take is McKinnon over, CEH under. I assume those are positively correlated. CEH under. But obviously this isn't. Four yards is a lot different here when the total is set at 40 than when it's set at like 12 to 15. So here we have a 5-yard middle, but the distribution is much lower. It's kind of like for MLB. The difference between, 5 strikeouts and 6 strikeouts is massive, right? But in the NBA, the difference between 218 and 219 total points is minor because that's such a higher number. The distribution is centered around a much higher number, and the distribution is a lot wider. So Feltner, Lamar. So Lamar, I think we hit the cap on. So, that's an option. We wanted to throw something small on it. We already got some action on McKinnon. And just kind of spreading out our positive EV bets, try to reduce risk a little, however you want to view it. Feltner under 4.5, Mark Mathis. So overall, pretty fun. Like this one, clearly good. This Lamar one, nothing's better than the Lamar one. So this looks incredible. I mean, I don't know how I feel about it this weekend after I lost betting against Lamar Jackson, fading him the last 2 weekends, but is what it is. So, I mean, I think we've gotten close, but no cigar on underdog for a bit now. But it's a fun platform to beat. So what we can do is we can go here, we can do this, and we can see what other sports bets are out there. What is more fun than that? So we can go here and we can filter out the exchange and go back. And just try to, find more really good bets. So here we have Air Force Navy, under 7.5 points. We already have the under in this game. So we have Air Force Navy under 38 points at -110. So, you can double down. You cannot double down. We have first quarter total points, West Virginia, Texas, over 13.5. Maybe that's worth dabbling in. But, a good way to think about it is less sports books have posted odds for this market. So we should have lower confidence that this bet is really good because there's just less data points available in the market. Nothing's better than looking at a bet where it looks great to 50 sports books or 25 sports books. So typically what I do is, or what you can do is just open it all up and just be are we really getting a lot of value on FanDuel or on whatever other sports book you're betting? So we can go to FanDuel and it's okay, -145, -143, -137. It's pretty clear value that we're getting on this over 58.5 points in Utah State BYU. So we can go over to FanDuel, got to log back in, and we can hit it. And then I got to remember to, what's up, bro? What's up, bro? So it depends on 3-pick, 5-pick. It depends. I think if you could get 9% on underdog 5 picks, you would be incredibly profitable. But what you can do is you can you can actually quantify that, right? If you go to a EV calculator, you can say on underdog fantasy, right? You're betting $100 to win $1,900 in profit, $2,000 total. If you're hitting $100 wagers, 5-pick on underdog, 9% of the time, your EV would be 80%. So you'd be super profitable in the long run, right? Whereas 5% is going to be 0. If you're winning 4%, -20. If you're winning 10%, you'd be 100% profitable because you're getting double the required win rate to break even. So pretty interesting. But anyways, what do we want to bet on? We wanted to bet on Utah State BYU. Over 58.5 looked incredible to the market, 1.111% edge. and it's up to 59.5. So we missed it. So we'll have to refresh. And just kind of the way it is, you're kind of like a day trader. You're always looking for value, trying to tease out where the opportunity is, where the value is. But these lines can move, and they will move because, especially when the bets are good, which is why arbitrage betting, risk-free money, what's better than that? You just got to be able to move quick and, learn how to navigate these sports books, where lines are, stuff like that is important if you want to be a good sports bettor. Player receptions, pretty clear value here. We have him bet to score a touchdown. I'm not logged into PointsBet currently, but that play looks pretty good. This looks good, right? Well, Pinnacle's a little less bullish, so maybe you don't want to play it. But long story short, just trying to tease out where the value is with data. In this recommended filters, if you just bet it all, you'll be profitable in the long run. But it's really about understanding that there will be variance, there will be losing days, yada, yada, yada. So here, it's plus 110. It's positive. This would be positive EV to every single sports book. Browns team total. Seems like a lot of points for the Browns, but we'll go ahead and we'll lock it in. So we can go ahead and lock it in. So the Browns over 24.5. We can hit it. And it's going to log me out. So what we can do is we can log back in and we can hit it. And this bet looks quite good with the filters on. So I'd say the most valuable feature is going to be middles. It's going to be middle betting in general. I think that's quite good. So we can hit this. Cleveland Browns over 24.5. Seems really good, right? We're getting plus 110 on WinBet. No other sportsbook's giving us better than plus 100. So what you can do is you can open up this little no vig odds calculator, and it's okay, according to PointsBet and Resorts World, they're pricing this minus 105, minus 115. The true line is plus 104. We're getting plus 110 on WinBet. Seems pretty good. And then we have minus 115, minus 115. True odds of plus 100, right? When the sportsbook is giving you the same odds on the over and the under, the sportsbook's model or the sportsbook is implying both outcomes are equally likely to hit, right? So that's what Bet Online is implying. Sharp Sportsbooks telling us, hey, it should be 50-50, and we're getting plus 110. Really good value. DraftKings plus 100, minus 120. True line, plus 109. So less value to DraftKings, but overall, this plus 110 looks great to the entire market. That's a play we want to be on for sure. So what we can do is we can go back here, and we can hit it. So we have Browns over 24.5, $500, plus 110. That game's going to be on Sunday. And then if we want to go through the EV quickly, it's Browns over 24.5 team total. We hit it for 500, and I think the profit margin was 2.73%. So the bet is worth $13.50-ish, right? $13.65. So you can't, I wouldn't give you my bet for a $10 bill because my bet's good. And it's understanding variance and trying to diversify, form your own little portfolio of bets that you that are good. And I'll remember to Bengals first half point spread. Now lines moving towards the Bengals a bit. So if you're looking for a spot to bet on the Bengals, minus 2.5 on the first half spread, that's a good opportunity. I could arb out of my current bet. I currently have the Dolphins plus 2.5 at plus 115. So could arb out of it, right? Could hedge out of my bet, kind of day trade into Bengals minus 2.5. We know one bet has to win, minus 110, plus 115, arbitrage. So that's an option. But I think one of the most interesting tools where there's a lot of opportunity, people don't check it that often, is the middle betting tool. I think it's quite interesting. Here, Joe Burrow over 274.5 passing yards. minus 110, minus 104. So like maybe the differences aren't that big, but the middle betting tool can, yield some interesting opportunities. And it's definitely worth checking. I find a lot of good bets on the middle betting tool. I try to cover it in some YouTube videos, but I think it's a super useful tool. Right now, there's nothing particularly interesting unless you're in Canada or you're in Europe and you have the Betfair exchange where there's a lot more middles. But it definitely is a useful tool because you can find some big mess ups on sports books, that's for sure. So like here, like Georgia, Missouri, not much, but nothing really much right there. Although here's one. This is weird, right? So like this is pretty interesting. Like it just shows you where sports books have lines set at different levels. And this one looks interesting because you have the Chiefs Bucks game. Caesars has over 7.5 at plus 100. Right? PointsBet has over 8.5 at minus 120, and Resorts World does. 9 is a key number in football, right? For a quarter, that's 3 field goals. It's pretty common. And they have the OU at 9.5. So like 7.5 to, well, I guess 7.5 to 9.5 isn't it's a pretty big jump though, right? Because 9 points exactly, we're losing the over 9.5, which Pinnacle and FanDuel are pricing. We're winning over 7.5. So this over 7.5 on Caesars actually seems quite good, right? Like they're pretty far off from the rest of the market, which is pretty interesting. Casumo, North Star bets. So like the middle betting tool is really interesting because you can use it to kind of like be like, where are sportsbooks setting the lines at different levels in the first place? So I think this is good enough to dabble in. It's just a little less hard. It's a little harder, I apologize, to quantify, right? Like what should the jump be from 7.5 to 9 points? What's the exact probability of there being 9 points in the first quarter? Like you definitely don't want to take under 7.5 at minus 120 because you can get under 9.5 at minus 106. So that would be the worst bet of all time. But figuring out like what's the exact profit margin of over 7.5, that's not possible. So it's kind of up to you. You want to dabble? You don't. Wow, this game is a pick 'em. Wild. I thought the Chiefs were going to be like minus 150, 60. So we got to log back in briefly. But this is a play I'm going to go with and I'll track because I think like that jump from 7.5 to 9.5 is pretty big. So the Poisson calculator kind of shows you like the reason people use it. The reason people use the Poisson calculator is to essentially see, like what should the jump be from 11.5 to 15.5, right? You can kind of read through this. I mean, there's more math articles I'm sure you can read online, but like one of the main questions would be something like, okay, like we know AJ Brown gets 4 receptions a game on average. And every sportsbook is setting his over under 4 at minus 110, minus 110. What should his over 6 receptions be at? Like that's kind of the point of a Poisson calculator. Over 7.5. I mean, hard not to like, right? So we'll go ahead. We'll load this up. If they take it, hopefully they take it using data. Do we hammer the Chiefs or the Bucks this weekend? So here we have 1365 in EV on this play, and then we just added Chiefs Bucks over 7.5 first quarter for 250 at plus 100 odds, 10-2. I added a bunch of plays on the underdog. I already forget. So we added this we had, that we had open, that we had open. So we added this play. So we added 3 plays. So I'll remember to add those after. 1, 2, 3 on underdog. 3 plays. So we'll have 3 to track. Minus 662 in terms of profit. YouTube videos, since we started tracking full-length YouTube videos, crushing it. Mainly, a lot of thanks to the Cowboys, because we're definitely running hot. But this will be interesting to do on live stream too, and hopefully we all make some money together, which is kind of cute, romantic. So what we can do is go back here, and we'll see if any other bets are out there, because what's more fun than that? So if you got Bet 365, obviously every sportsbook has different location or different, sportsbooks available. Maybe you have WinBet, maybe you don't. Maybe you have Underdog Fantasy, maybe you don't. I'm not sure. But I'm going to use what I have available and I'll try to stick to mainly the main ones, FanDuel, stuff like that. That's Stanford plus 6.5 against Oregon. They look horrible. But what we can do is we can open it up because we trust the math, right? Don't trust your gut. Oh, this is a first quarter point spread. You can see FanDuel has it at 4. So that looks, they're pretty, maybe the worst football team ever, but, pretty clear value at plus 6.5. So we can hit it. Not opposed. So we can bet it. Got to move quick. When they release these first quarter props, there will be some good opportunity. So boom, we got it down. 20 bets open. So we got the Chiefs Bucks over 7.5 first quarter. Playing with the first quarters, got to follow the value as a sports bettor. So we have Cardinal, Stanford, first quarter, plus 6.5, $250, minus 105 odds, 10-1. October 1st. So again, I'll try to put this sheet in the description. It's in some of the YouTube ones. It's just all our bets that we have open. So we've hit these 3 today. This one was from yesterday. We've hit these 3 today. So, and then some plays on Underdog Fantasy I'll need to add in. But, we can actually do that now. We have Feltner, under 4.5 Ks. Mathis, over half of a hit. You guys can let me know what you like most. And we have McKinnon, which I think is still available, over 12.5 rushing yards. And then this is going to settle tonight or on Sunday. So what we can do is just kind of like, this will settle tonight or on Sunday. I'll just put in Sunday and assume, of course, my first 2 picks win. So this is $50 at plus 500 odds, right? 3 pick entries on Underdog Fantasy. You're always getting plus 500. So the implied juice is going to be minus 122. Rutgers, Ohio State, first half total under 34. A lot of plays open. So kind of like the market's dynamic, right? You never know when the best bets are going to occur, where they're going to occur, what sports books they're going to be on, which is why it's helpful to have more bookmaker accounts, right? More and more and more. Every sports book is a different out. Every sportsbook is another sportsbook that may have a profitable promo, a profitable betting line that may slip up, that may, have an incredible, opportunity live. So there's literally no incentive not to have every single one if you want to make money. If you're betting $5 a week, you probably shouldn't be on this YouTube because nobody on this YouTube channel bets $5 a week or 5 minutes a week. It's not fun. So this play's still available, right? This looks great in a 3-pick or 5-pick entry. Implied odds minus 122 on Underdog. And again, the reason for that, and they offer an $100 deposit bonus, which is great if you check below. But what's really cool is like for 3 picks and 5 picks, the math works out the same. So 3 picks, any 3 picks, 100 to win 600 is what you see. 1, 2, 3, 100 to win 600. Now, if you have 5 picks, you're still getting the implied price of minus 122 because it's 100 to win 2,000. Here you can see slight differences due to rounding, but 100 to win 2,000 basically. So obviously, you can do some cool stuff on Underdog, which are really cool. So what we can do is go back here and we can see what's out there. I think it's the same as all other taxes. It's just, but I don't know. I'm not an accountant. I don't want to fool you by acting like I know taxes super well. Yes, just bet the dog. Just bet the underdog for early bet wins on DraftKings. Did you make a Dolphins? If so, what did you go with? Appreciate the response. I'll check the mids. Should you cash out a game? Stake amount? I mean, it's kind of, random. Some people follow a Kelly calculator. They're very precise about it. At the end of the day, if you believe your bet is good, more is merrier. But of course, you want to set up bounds, right? Like, most sports books don't even allow you to bet a certain amount of money. So it's not like you can bet $1 million on some of these bets, even if your bankroll was unlimited, right? It's not like you can bet as much as you want. You got to keep things within bounds. $100, $250, $500 is kind of what I like to go with. $125, like round numbers, increments that make sense, not sketchy numbers like 137, 84, 500, 750, 250, stuff like that. Like 25, 50, 75, 100 is pretty common. 500, 1,000, you'll see from some of like the serious sports bettors. A lot of super serious sports bettors are like 1,000, 2.5K, 5K, right? 3 sizes they use: 1,000, 2.5K, 5. So we got some soccer bets available. Rams over. I don't know. Against the 49ers, who are favored. So you can get the Rams over. Market kind of split on where that should be priced. A lot of interesting opportunities out there. So what do we like? Let's find some more bets. What bets have we locked in for tonight already? Browns over 24.5 team total. Chiefs Bucks over 7.5 first quarter. Stanford first quarter plus 6.5 minus 105. Feltner under 4.5 Ks. Mathis over half of a hit. Jerick McKinnon over 12.5 rushing yards. We're all over fading Joe Mixon tonight, under 3.5 receptions. And then we have Feltner, Mathis, McKinnon. So we have Feltner under 4.5 Ks, Lamar under 1.5 passing TDs, and Mark Mathis over half of a hit. So a lot of fun ones out there. Should be a fun ride. So this was 50 to win 300. This is 100 to win 600. So some differences. 100 to win 600. We're going to assume this first bet wins. So that's the second bet we have. And I completely agree. Should you cash out a game if the line moves against you, or is there no EV? It depends. It depends what you're cashing out for, right? Like sometimes you can hit a positive EV bet and get a positive EV cash out, right? Like we'll try. I don't think I have an example on me, but like as an example, what we can do, because it's an interesting point, is like we can look on WinBet, right? I have under 38 in Navy Air Force. Some of these lines are going to move against you, especially if you're betting really early, right? Like sometimes they're going to move in your favor. Like I think we showed last night. One of the farthest bets back I have is from September 11th, which is my sister's birthday. So I was just betting on sports because family. Julija Stoliarenko, we have her money line plus 115. So what we can do is just like quickly be like, okay, like how do we feel about Julia now? And this bet looked really good, at least when we checked yesterday. This is like she's like minus 125, minus 115 now. Better plus 115. So like when you're betting far in advance, like lines have more time to move. Whereas we have this under 38 in the Navy Air Force game. Let's see how that looks. How do we like it? So now we don't really like it, right? This isn't really positive EV. Pinnacle's minus 113. So this line moved a little against us, not a ton, but we definitely don't want under 38. Bet online, another sharp sportsbook, is offering under 38. So if we can cash out 1,100. Your stake is 1,100. Would you like to cash out 1,100? Possible return? It's like, sure. Boom. So we just like save some money. So you can definitely do it. It's time intensive, but you can do it. And then you can see right here, it's like you cashed out. Or sometimes you're able to hedge with the other side, right? So what we had last week, dang. Okay. So what we had last week is we had lines move towards Arkansas, then they moved back towards, Texas A&M. So what we had is we had Texas A&M -2 from earlier in the week, and then we hedged with Arkansas +2.5, and that middle actually hit. So we won Texas A&M. No, we won Arkansas +2.5. We pushed Texas A&M -2, and then we lost Arkansas money line. So should have won, but whatever. True. Can you re-explain the math you use briefly without relying on your opinions towards a team? Yeah, so we have a bunch of full-length YouTube videos on positive EV betting, but essentially it's just like, every sports book is kind of like this is incredible. Let's rebet it. I hate Stanford football. So let's go and let's hit it. So we hit it for another 500 because it got better, right? You can always bet a little more, but essentially the math behind EV betting is just like, so here we have Lamar under 1.5 passing TDs, Shea L over lower. We actually have an under and a hit. I hate betting on people to get a hit, so I'm very excited for this Shea Langelier prop. We have Jerick McKinnon over 11.5 receiving yards. We have Ryan Feltner under 4.5 Ks. Then we have Louis Urias over 0.5 hits. That was play number 3, and this is 150 to win 3K. So this is 150 at plus 1,900 odds. So 1,900 odds. So the math is essentially just like, okay, like Pinnacle, right? They're pricing Stanford plus 6.5 at -128. So as the favored outcome, it's juiced. Lines are juiced, slanted, leaned, whatever you want to call it, towards Stanford plus 6.5 on the first half spread. So what you can do is you can open up what's called a no vig odds calculator. Which is down. So what we can do is wait for it to load quickly. Sometimes if I click too much, it breaks. So what we can do is hopefully the site doesn't freaking break on us. Not sure what's going on. But what you can do is essentially like remove the VIG from the sportsbooks market and get a sense of what should the line be with no VIG. So let's try this again. There we go. So if we go here, it's like, okay, Pinnacle, they're pricing this as -128 on Stanford plus 6.5, right? They're pricing the other side of the market at plus plus 108. So 20 cents in market width. So essentially, like, right, the way these bookmakers make money is they have some model that spits out, hey, here's the win probability for a bet based on our models, all the action we're seeing in the market, millions of dollars being bet, yada, yada. We think this bet, Stanford plus 6.5 first quarter, is 53.87 to win. So then they're like, okay, so the no vig line is -117, -116. And then we juice our markets, right? Then they add vig to their markets. They believe, right, the way that sportsbooks make money is they believe the odds they're giving you are shitty. They believe the odds they're giving you aren't profitable. So what you got to do is you have to take their market, both sides of the market, where the plus number is always less than the minus number, and remove the vig. So here we see it's minus 117 with the vig removed. So Stanford plus 6.5 should be priced fairly at minus 117, according to Pinnacle. Oregon minus 6.5 would be fairly priced at plus 117. So that's with vig, or with the vig removed, right? This is a zero vig market. There is no vig. You could bet 117 to win 100, or you could bet on the other side of the market 100 to win 117. So this is the true odds according to Pinnacle, right? And this is the true win probability for our bet. So if we assume they're the Bible, which I'm not saying is right, that means for a $100 bet, your EV would be $5.17 if you assumed they were the Bible. But you can also consider DraftKings market, Caesars market, kind of weight them. Long story short, it's just like, this number is kind of like an average consensus of what the line is in the market with no vig, no juice. You always have to remove the vig or the juice. And every sportsbook works the same, right? They all work the same, which is they have models that spit out win probabilities for bets that they convert into no vig odds, and then they juice their markets. So the best bets are what I got on right here that I'm going to call today. Over 23.5, Dolphins, Bengals. Let's go Dolphins. Get your drinks ready. Should be a fun game. We hit what's our last bet? So this is the play of the night. I mean, if we get 3 cashes tonight, and then we have 2 lit ML or NFL props for Sunday Night Football, and the 1 p.m. slate, I'll be a happy camper. And then this is the last one we have, which is 500 to win 3K. So that's always fun. So again, this sheet, you can kind of it's in most of the YouTube videos. It's just the sheet with all the profit and loss and whatever. So you can check it out. It's pretty fun. So I think this is our last pick. Darius, lower. Okay. So we actually have an under in terms of hits on Underdog Fantasy. That's quite rare. But let's see if there's anything else out there we want to bet. Hopefully this was helpful. If it's not helpful, you can let us know what makes it helpful. 3 last picks. If you're fiending on Underdog, that looks great, So you could go with Kim over, Feltner under, in Mathis over. And just don't forget also there's like some correlation aspects. Like this play is probably a little better than we expect, right? We have Mookie Betts under, Trey Turner under. They're on the same team. If Mookie Betts doesn't get on base, Trey Turner is less likely to have more at-bats. So, obviously there's more correlation in the NFL and other sports, but it's like taking a pitcher. If you could take his outs, or another better example is if we go to FanDuel, if we tried to create a same game parlay, as you'll notice with same game parlay, if we tried to take Burrow's, what is going on? If we tried to take Burrow's over for passing yards, over 273.5, or better example is if we took, what's a good example? If we took, Tyreek Hill to score a touchdown and Dolphins to win, it goes to, or Dolphins to cover the spread, it goes to plus 234, right? If you take the Bengals, it goes to plus 362. So even though the odds for Dolphins plus 3.5 is roughly, not exactly, of course, but the same as, Bengals minus 3.5, right? Minus 102, minus 120, but the same game parlay, when you're betting on the Bengals side and Tyreek Hill to score a touchdown, the odds improvement is a lot bigger than when you put the Dolphins to cover and for Tyreek Hill to score a touchdown, because given that Hill scores a touchdown, conditional on the Dolphins are more likely to cover the spread, right? So, what you can also see is like if we did, where is he? If you did like Tyreek Hill, where's receiving yards? So if we did like, Tyreek Hill, his under in receiving yards, even though it's the same odds as the over, we're going to see plus 399 versus plus 218, even though the odds are the same. So there's some interesting stuff you can look at there. See you guys.